In today's episode, we're going to talk about the three companions in Diablo 3, Kormac the Templar, Eirena the Enchantress, and Lyndon the Scoundrel. Each coming from a different corner of the world, bearing unique skills and backstories that have shaped them into more than mere allies in battle. We will uncover their past and explore their motivations for joining the Nephilim's cause. Kormac is a warrior of faith who wields a shield and sword, capable of healing allies and enhancing their abilities. His early life is shrouded in mystery, largely because his memories were stripped from him when he was indoctrinated into the Templar Order. Originally, Kormac was a soldier in the Western Kingdom of Westmarch. He was either taken or perhaps given to the Order as a young man. The Templars, known for their zealous dedication to their cause, erased all prior connections Kormac had to his past, a common practice meant to ensure total loyalty to the Order and its leaders. During the first act in Diablo 3, the year is 1285, and Kormac is in Condurus at the Tristram Cathedral, where he was betrayed by a fellow Templar, Jundar, a necromancer. The Nephilim soon find Kormac incapacitated and being held in a place by a group of dark cultists. After the cultists are taken care of, Kormac breaks free and retrieves his equipment. Shortly after, the Nephilim and Kormac battle with Jundar, and in defeat, he asks for forgiveness.
You were a Templar, Jundar. How could you succumb to this coven?
The coven is my brotherhood now, Kormac. The powers we serve will soon rule this world! Please forgive me. My vision was clouded by the coven's evil magic.
Betrayal can never be forgiven.
Kormac thanks the Nephilim for his freedom and revenge, and offers to join in defeating the Skeleton King on the one condition that he is allowed to keep any sacred tombs of his order. The Nephilim agrees, and later tells the Templar that without his memory, he can't know if what the Order did to him was just. For all he knows, everything the Order has said to him could be no more than lies. Kormac admits that he has had these thoughts himself, but he worries that if that is the case, that could ruin everything that he has fought for. By the time the group reaches Chaldeum in Act 2, Kormac has had time to reflect on what the Nephilim said and decides to confront his past. He also admits to possessing a journal he had taken off of Jondar's body earlier.
I found a journal on Jondar's corpse, written in an ancient Templar cipher. I can translate it, but it will take some time. Perhaps studying his treachery will give me a clue into my past.
A reasonable plan, but you are still worried.
Jundar was once a man of faith, devoted to the Templar Order. What if he discovered something that made him betray himself? Matters not, for I must do this anyway.
After reading some of the journal, Kormac was able to translate a strange passage that was written long before Jundar had started serving Magda. Jundar had found a set of what he called keywords hidden in a dusty librum. Upon reading these words, Jundar's memories returned to him, and whatever he remembered made him start to distrust the Order. Kormac tells the Nephilim that he too intends to read the key words, but wants to be slain if he were to lapse into his old sins.
I am prepared to read these key words. I will turn the page. How odd. They are simple words. Words that I have never seen together before. Oh, I can see everything. Water on a leaf. A burning hut! Light in my mother's eyes! Oh, make it stop! It's slowing now. I can... Oh no! No! I was a young man. A promising soldier of Westmarch. The Order recruited me. They lied to me. Piled false sins upon me.
Why?
I do not know, but I am sure this is why Jundar turned from the Order.
Kormac assumes that the Inquisitors had acted without the blessing of the Order's Grand Maester, so he requests that they return sometime to return the tombs. Act 2 is where we also meet the Enchantress Eirena, who we will talk about soon, who Kormac instantly becomes infatuated with. Unfortunately for him, it is implied that Templars take a vow against being romantically involved with others. After defeating Belial and learning that the demonic invasion will happen in Ariat, the group has a long journey ahead from Caldeum to Bastion's Keep, which gives Kormac plenty of time to study Jondor's journal even further. Kormac explains that he had found a torn page within the binding and wondered why Jondor had hidden it, as if it was the proof of a crime. Upon studying the page, Kormac realized that the writing showed instructions on how to create magical weapons, but the strangest part being that one of the runes shown matched one on the bracers of Tyrael. He seeks guidance from Tyrael on what the meaning of this could be.
Tyrael, examine this page. Tell me what you see.
These are plans for angelic weapons that will fit human hands. Where did you find this?
This is a page torn from the sacred tomes of my blessed order. The light only knows what the others contain.
I see. It implies that my brethren seek to destroy this world, and that your order was created to stop them.
Is it true?
It was, once. Not anymore.
Kormac once again reflects on Jondor's betrayal and death, and wonders if he could have done something or said something that would have changed the late necromancer's mind before he went and joined Magda. At the end of Act 3, we see Adria's betrayal, which leads to the death of Leah and rebirth of Diablo as the prime evil. Kormac blames himself for the world falling apart since he was always suspicious of Adria. He also gives us some backstory on the Coven, remembering that Magda always used to share the leadership of the Coven with another. But 20 years ago, either before or during the events of the first Diablo, the other leader of the Coven ended up leaving. Kormac believes that the other leader was Adria. And this is talked about in the Book of Tyrael in the Adria's Origins section, but I do believe that Kormac is the first one to make this connection for the players. In Act 5, we return to Kormac's home in Westmarch where the Reapers are attacking. After defending the city, Kormac asks the Nephilim to join them in visiting the Templar headquarters, the Vault of the Order, so that he can finally confront the Grand Maester and tell him of the horrors that the Inquisitors have been performing on Templar recruits. When Kormac arrives, he is greeted with praise from the other Templars, since he's one of the people who defeated two of the lesser evils, Belial and Azmodan, and is given the title the greatest Templar ever. He is given the proclamation of the Grand Maester and is stunned to find out that the Grand Maester already knew about the quote cleansing that the Inquisitors were performing, and he approved of the methods.
The day of reckoning is at hand. We will rise from the ashes of Westmarch and lead mankind into the light. We shall have recruits by the thousands. Every citizen will be another Templar added to the cause. Once cleansed by the Inquisitors, they will become an unstoppable force.
The heroes enter a room and see a group of Inquisitors getting ready to cleanse a new batch of recruits.
Bring me that whip! It is time to purify this initiate.
Stop! How can you do this to your fellow Templar?
We bless them with the truth, as we did for you, Kormac. But if the greatest of all Templar wishes them freed, it shall be so. We've been ordered to take you to the Grand Maester as soon as possible. Follow me.
As Kormac runs through the open doors with lightning flashing in the background, he finally comes face to face with the Grand Maester.
Kormac, the shining example of a true Templar. We have much to talk about.
Yes, we do, Grand Maester. You have betrayed us all, starting with the torment of our initiation.
It was brutal but necessary. I did the hard things no one else would, for the ascension of humanity. I carry the weight of my actions with me always. Are you ready to make a similar sacrifice, Kormac? Will you stand with me and become Meister in due time? I need you.
But... No! Your power has driven you to madness if you think I would help you rule over mankind!
This saddens me greatly, my son. I am sorry. Kill him.
This forced the Nephilim and Kormac to take down all of the Templars in the building, severely crippling the Order. Kormac quits the Order and swears to free every Templar that has been lied to by the Order, using force if need be. With Kormac free of the Order, he remains with the heroes and is even persuaded by the Nephilim to confess his feelings for Eirena. He does so awkwardly by asking her if she would like to continue adventuring with him after this is all over. She is delighted and says she would be honored to fight alongside him, as she feels as close to him as she did to her sisters. Oof. This would be the last time that we see or hear from Kormac in the Diablo series so far. There is speculation on whether or not Crusader Warwick, who is stationed in Zarbinzit in Diablo 4, is Kormac under a different name, but there hasn't been any confirmation from Blizzard on this. What do you think? Does this sound like the Templar from Diablo 3?
They are a group of crazed mud-dwellers who believe that worshipping serpents will somehow grant them eternal life. Have you ever heard of anything half as mad? Alas, they are as numerous and as brutal as their bloody snakes. Dislodging them has proven difficult.
Eirena has the most interesting backstory of the three companions because she grew up during the Mage Clan Wars, which happened 1500 years before the events of Diablo 3, 210 years before Anno Kegistani. Anno Kegistani is when Akarat founded the Zakarum faith, and it's considered to be year 0 in Diablo lore. She offers ranged magical support through charming enemies, creating shields, or using her arcane powers offensively. The Nephilim meets her at the start of Act 2, and she helps by removing certain mirages that the Nephilim only sees as dead ends. Eirena says that she's looking for someone, but doesn't elaborate further. Once the party is in the Howling Plateau, Eirena notices these hidden footprints that lead to different cellars. It turns out that there are two groups of deranged cultists that are using magic to create these illusions. Both of the rituals are stopped, and Eirena is curious to know what the Nephilim's goals are, to which the latter says, to kill the demon lord that Magda serves. Eirena then realizes that the Nephilim is the one that she has been searching for, and tells them how she got here.
I think it is time for you to know my true tale. I am not from Chaldeum. I learned these spells 1500 years ago. My sisters and I pledged our service to a man of great power. We called him the Prophet. He trained us and placed us in a magical slumber to awaken in this era. I am to prevent the lords of hell from invading.
The Prophet? I have not heard of this figure. But your aid is welcome.
Throughout Act 2, Eirena's backstory is further explored through conversations with the Nephilim, as well as a journal that she wrote in after waking up.
I felt no fear when they sealed the tomb before me, only a sense of peace as my mind drifted away into the darkness. It seems I opened my eyes only seconds later, and beheld the chamber in ruins, half buried in sand. I have left everything behind. Only hope guides me now.
It is shown that Eirena holds the angels in high regard, as she could instantly tell Tyrael was one, meeting him in his mortal form and saying that humans did not deserve his aid after everything he had done for them. Sometime later, the Nephilim ask Eirena if she knows what happened to her sisters. She said that after awakening, she found their dead bodies with traces of demonic magic upon their wounds. There also seems to be gaps in Eirena's memory from the Prophet's spell that kept her in stasis. This stasis was meant to keep the Enchantresses unaged and unchanged throughout their centuries. However, the spell's complexity and length of time it covered likely contribute to the imperfect memories that she is having. The loss of these memories adds to her character's depth, as it sets her on a path of self-discovery and adaptation to the unfamiliar time period she finds herself in, all while trying to piece together her past and understand her purpose. During Act 3, Eirena starts to remember more about her past, specifically that she and her sisters were once servants in the house of a Vigeri lord. Eirena would read the lord's spellbooks and started teaching less powerful magic to her sisters. During a random conversation with another companion, Eirena mentions that she once miscast a charm spell on her sister Lysa, who was then fawning over her for weeks. One day, Eirena saw that the Vigeri Lord and his associates were gathering to summon a greater demon. Before the mages could complete the ritual, Eirena and her sisters used their magic to kill the mages, but were cursed by them with their dying breaths. The sisters fell, and their death seemed certain, until they woke up with the prophet staring down at them.
I remember standing before the prophet. My life hung by a thread, but he healed me and my sisters.
He was a mage?
No, not precisely. I do not know what his true nature was. Only that he possessed great power. He said we had done well to slay the demons. He was very kind. When we had recovered, he offered to train us further.
You agreed?
Yes. I owe him my life. Slaying the lords of hell would please him. It is the least I can do.
After Act 3, as with Kormac the Templar, Eirena is terribly upset with herself for not being able to perceive Adria's treachery or what had been lurking within Leah. She feels even more pressure now to not let down the prophet who gave her this second chance and task. Sometime in Act 4, when the heroes are in the high heavens, Eirena came across a dying angel that gave her a document that was even older than herself. Unable to read the document, she sought help from Archangel Ethereal.
I spoke with Ethereal, and he helped me translate the document. It was written by an angel who saw promise in humanity. He began to teach a group of young women who had killed the demons their masters summoned.
You and your sisters?
None other. The prophet I have followed for so many years. He was an angel.
And Tyrael reminded you of him?
Yes, but I do not know whether the prophet was the dying angel I met or not. The writings say that he worked in absolute secrecy. Ethereal knew nothing of them.
You will learn more about the prophet's path as you make your own.
You are right. And I hope that path will still be with you, my friend.
When the group was in Westmarch trying to stop Malthael from ending humanity, Eirena started hearing her sisters' voices. The most dominant voice being Lysa's calling out Eirena's name from Pandemonium. Without getting into an entirely different topic, Pandemonium is this warped realm that was created when the first two beings, Anu and Tathamet, fought and killed each other. I know, makes a lot of sense. But Eirena wonders if the prophet is in Pandemonium with Lysa, so she asks the Nephilim to join her on the journey. Throughout the lair of the prophet, the group meets with the spirits of Eirena's sisters, all retelling a part of the history from before Eirena awoke. After 3 of them have been saved, a portal opens taking the group to Lysa, who set up a trap for Eirena, jealous that the latter was chosen by the prophet.
Lysa! I knew I heard your voice.
Why did we have to give our lives for you, Eirena? What was so special about you? Chosen of the prophet. Your sisters were willing to sacrifice their lives for you, just as the prophet intended. But I would not play along. It merely took time for me to find a way out.
I never knew, Lysa. The prophet never told me.
Eirena, know that you possess the greatest potential of all your sisters, and so I chose you. They gave their lives so that you could survive and fight in the most important battle to come. They did this willingly, and their sacrifice is not a burden, but a gift to you.
What do I do?
Live. Fulfill the destiny for which I trained you, and for which your sisters died.
Back in town, Eirena decides to continue the prophet's work by creating a new sisterhood where they would pass knowledge from generation to generation for as long as it took to fulfill their promise. Lyndon is a charming, witty rogue with a fondness for treasure and trouble. He can increase his fellow party's members' damage, cripple and poison others, as well as attack multiple enemies at once. He's first encountered at the old mill by the Nephilim, who was on their way to the drowned temple. Desperate for help, this scoundrel asked the Nephilim to rescue his friend from a group of thieves. The Nephilim takes down the members of the Thieves Guild, led by Nigel Cutthroat, which is just like, were they even trying with his name? Either way, before Nigel is killed, he tells Lyndon that this isn't over and that the rest of the Thieves Guild will find him. The Nephilim soon learns of Lyndon's true nature in that he didn't actually care for the well-being of the woman Sasha, just the family relic she was holding onto that was almost taken by the thieves.
Wait, the relic is a fake! Gods, I should have known! You seem like you could use a helping hand, and I sure as hell don't want to stay around here.
Please tell me that you're not considering this criminal's proposal.
And you're betrothed?
Betrothed? Do I look like the marrying kind to you? By the way, my name is Lyndon.
Heading back to camp and talking with Lyndon, we learn that he is from Kingsport, a southern city in the western city of Westmarch. He isn't very forthcoming with information, which makes sense since he's a thief, even if he does call himself the most honest thief you'll ever meet. It isn't until the group gets to Caldeum that Lyndon talks about how he and his brother were orphans that took different routes in life. Whereas Lyndon joined the Thieves Guild, his brother Edlin became a member of the city guard. He also mentions a woman that he fell in love with and how she married the wrong man. That wrong man being Lyndon's brother. During Act 3 in Bastion's Keep, Lyndon talks about how he and his brother would work together to benefit them both. Lyndon would tip his brother off about the Thieves Guild's plans, and Edlin would bring the guards to the scene of the crime and play it off as luck. One day, Lyndon and the Thieves Guild robbed the Merchants Guild bank, but Edlin showed up too early and was accused by other guards of being involved in the heist. He was locked up with Lyndon, and even though Lyndon escaped, Edlin has been in prison ever since. Because of Lyndon's guilt, he has been trying to pay for his brother's freedom by paying Rhea, Edlin's wife. She believes that Lyndon is the reason why Edlin was in prison, and won't even send word to Lyndon after all of the gold that he has given her and her children. Later in Act 4, the Nephilim surprises Lyndon.
I have a gift for you, Lyndon.
Is that so?
It's gold, enough to repay the Merchants Guild and free your brother.
You're joking, right? You look like you're joking.
Do I ever joke?
I'm speechless.
I suppose there is a first time for everything.
As we know by now, Act 5 has the group going back to Westmarch, where Lyndon tells the Nephilim he is leaving for Kingsport. Fortunately for him, a dungeon guard overhears and lets the group know that Kingsport prisoners were transferred to Westmarch last week. Lyndon asks the Nephilim for help, and they make their way to the Westmarch dungeons. The group soon finds out that the Thieves Guild has infiltrated the dungeon, so Lyndon and the Nephilim would have to fight them to get to Edlin. After slaying some more bandits, they reach Edlin's cell.
Edlin!
He's gone.
I never should have joined the guild. He told me, but I wouldn't listen.
He was dead before we arrived in Westmarch. I can see the signs.
That dagger looks very familiar.
Take it with you. There may be more to this than we know.
Getting back to camp, Lyndon is not doing well. The Nephilim offers to help him find his brother's killer, but Lyndon becomes mournful, starts drinking, and says the Nephilim could never understand how he's feeling. After taking the familiar-looking dagger to Hadrig, he notices that there is a note hidden inside the hilt. The Nephilim takes the note to Lyndon.
Hadrig found a note inside the dagger.
Lyndon, I killed him. Come after me if you must. I'll be waiting. Rhea, my brother's wife.
The one you loved.
I don't want to talk about her. Not until this matter is settled. And I know you and I will see it done.
And, that's how this story ends in Diablo 3, which just leaves so many questions. Why did Rhea kill her husband? Was it actually her who did it, or someone pretending to be her? What is Rhea's connection to the Thieves Guild? Did she pay them off to kill her husband? Will Lyndon ever get justice for his brother's death? Although we don't get to know the end of this particular story, this isn't the last time we see Lyndon, as he is the only confirmed follower to be found in Diablo 4, 50 years after the events of Diablo 3. Traveling to Backwater in Hauser after completing one of the quests from the residents here, the Wanderer is told that the boss wants to speak with them. This ends up being none other than Lyndon, who has a job to offer the Wanderer. The job entails picking up supplies with Lyndon's right-hand man, Orton. A group of bandits are killed for the supplies, and Orton recognizes some of the men from the docks. Upon returning to Backwater, Lyndon thanks the Wanderer and answers the latter's question on if the bandits were from here. Lyndon explains that they used to live in Backwater until he kicked them out, therefore they had no rights to those supplies and were considered thieves. Lyndon's next quest has him going with the Wanderer to pay off some crusaders that know about Backwater's existence.
My apologies for the runaround. With how boisterous Backwater's been lately, we're drawing some unwanted attention to our humble town. You see, officially it's not on any maps. And to keep it that way, I've set up a deal my more bloodthirsty brethren might not want to approach so diplomatically. I have the supplies stashed nearby. We find it, pay off the lawman, and you get an easy payday.
Meeting with the Crusaders, Backwater bandits attack, and one of the Crusaders is killed, meaning that they won't be able to keep this structured deal going much longer. Because of this, Lyndon now knows that there's a rat among his people, since he had originally only told 3 others about it. Lyndon explains his new plan on how to catch the traitor.
Agreed. So much for discretion, and I was careful to speak about this deal to a select few. Which means we have a rat. Meet me in Backwater when you can. Seems there's more work to be done. Lucky you. Terribly clever one at that. I've talked up a deal in different parts of Backwater just loud enough to be heard, but, and here's the good part, with different locations each. All we need do is wait at those locations, and where we get ambushed tells us who the rat is. Our first is just up ahead, though I'll put 20 gold on it. It's the second where we get jumped.
When going to the different locations, no one shows up to the first and second locations, which means that Lyndon and the Wanderer will be ambushed at the third one. It also means that Orton, Lyndon's right-hand man, is the rat that he's been looking for. Sure enough, at the third location, there's an ambush. So Lyndon decided to confront Orton directly while the Wanderer hides nearby.
I was worried when I didn't hear back from you. Thought you might have gotten jumped again.
Oh, worried, were you? Funny you say that.
Well, you seem to be in one piece.
Don't I, though? Orton, this is the second time I was ambushed at a deal that you knew about.
Huh. Is that so?
That's so. How could you? How could you do this to Backwater, to me?
To you? I defended you. Tried to. But you've changed. Going soft, kissing Crusader arse, leaving me behind.
You bull-headed twit. This is exactly why I kept you out.
You can't talk your way out of what's got to happen.
You're going to get Backwater killed.
And you'll make it weak. You're a traitor, Lyndon. To everything we built. Seems we both bought our own protection. Got admire you, Lyndon.
Orton and his group are defeated, and Lyndon takes a final shot with his crossbow to end Orton's life.
You gonna shoot me, Lyndon? Nah, I don't think you will, you tender shit. You can't pull that trigger anymore. Especially not on me.
Who wants a drink?
The quest ends with Lyndon drinking and wondering if he made the right decision or if he would have done the same thing in Orton's position. This is the last time that we talk to Lyndon, and if we go over to his desk and click on the dagger, it does mention that the hilt is hollow, which is what we found out when Rhea hid the message about killing Lyndon's brother back in Diablo 3, but nothing about that quest is ever mentioned again, so who knows what actually happened. Also, to backtrack a little bit, we do know that after Malthael is defeated in Diablo 3, the 3 followers, Kormac, Eirena, and Lyndon, would go on to form the Disciples of Sanctuary, which was the theme for Season 23 of Diablo 3. Now, I didn't personally play Season 23 of Diablo 3, but from looking online, there wasn't anything substantial lore-wise about the group. It was more just the season's theme for that period. But that is going to wrap up this video on the 3 followers from Diablo 3. Let me know what you think in the comments, if I missed anything, if you want more lore videos like this. If you're still here and you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you're still here and you didn't enjoy it, why did you just do that to yourself? But like always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.